There was a time when this was the place to be in America. Atlantic City was more glamorous than Hollywood, more fun than New York, and more American than apple pie. But now, ramshackle houses, empty lots, and tacky, failing casinos dominate the former Boardwalk empire. So where did it all go wrong? Just what the heck happened to Atlantic City? Honestly, this epic fall from grace is not recent, and to understand it, we need to see how it all came to be. So sit back and unwind with the Great Rewind. Atlantic City didn't emerge naturally. In fact, 175 years ago, the entire place was known as Absecon Island. It was swampy, dusty, and sparsely populated, as early colonists did not consider it a prime settling location. But there were those who saw its potential. Dr. Jonathan Pitney, a physician from the mainland town of Absecon, had a vision of building a health resort. The seaside escape would attract the citizens of Philadelphia, located only 60 miles away. It wasn't a far-fetched idea, as even before colonization, local Native American tribes used the island as a summer retreat. Together with civil engineer Richard Osborne, Dr. Pitney championed the construction of a railroad, which began in 1852. This changed everything. From a remote outpost, the island became an accessible destination. Suddenly, a short ride is all it took to escape the city heat and to substitute the coal dust for a fresh seaside breeze. By 1878, the place got so popular that a single railroad could not handle the passenger volume, so a second one was built. Massive hotels like the United States and the Surf House sprang up, taking up entire city blocks. The famous Boardwalk was built initially to keep beach sand out of the hotels as tourist number exploded. By 1900, a city that only had 7 dwellings 50 years prior was home to over 27,000. But its golden age came 2 decades later. By the 1920s, Atlantic City had become the undisputed king of American entertainment. We're talking about a city that literally invented the Miss America pageant, hosted major political conventions, and attracted celebrities from around the world. The place was second to none when it came to glamour and opulence. A surprising testament to this is the game Monopoly. When it came out in 1935, all the real estate names weren't taken from New York, but from Atlantic City, with the Boardwalk and Park Place being the cream of the crop. So what exactly heralded its golden age? A large part of it was America's alcohol problem and the resulting Prohibition-era. While the US was drying up, the Boardwalk Empire reached its peak, becoming a hedonistic playground, a place where the law was merely a suggestion and vice was an industry. It all came to be under the stewardship of Nucky Johnson, the man immortalized in HBO's hit series Boardwalk Empire. Illegal liquor, backroom gambling, and prostitution flourished, creating a vibrant, free-willing atmosphere that drew everyone from ordinary vacationers to politicians and mobsters. However, this hedonistic heaven was also a world of exclusion. For its African American residents, Atlantic City was essentially a Jim Crow town. Black people were systematically excluded from the city's primary public areas. They were prohibited from enjoying the boardwalk and white beaches for leisure, permitted there only for work. And the work wasn't well rewarded. The city's economy was characterized by seasonal, low-paying service sector jobs, and a large proportion of the workforce was African American, contributing to household incomes that were significantly lower than the rest of New Jersey. Even so, Atlantic City was riding the wave, and for a time, it looked like nothing could topple it. So what happened? The fall of Atlantic City was neither sudden nor easily foreseeable. It wasn't a single sudden event, but a slow-motion car crash that took decades to play out. After the end of World War II, several powerful trends swept through the nation, and bit by bit they made the city's business model obsolete. In the past, railroads were the primary source of transportation for millions, but by the 50s, the landscape changed dramatically. Trains were not in vogue anymore, substituted by cars buzzing on new interstate highways and air travel, which became more and more affordable. It's easy to see in hindsight. Why would you take a train to New Jersey when you can fly to somewhere exotic or drive to whatever you want? If that wasn't enough, Atlantic City also faced new competition in the leisure market. Modern, family-friendly theme parks like Disneyland in California captured the public imagination in a way that Atlantic City's aging amusement peers no longer could. TVs and air conditioning also made people more comfortable at home. The 50s were also a time where many left cramped apartments in the cities for the comfort of a newly built house in suburbia. The post-war GI Bill made it possible to take subsidized loans for housing, and in the 50s and 60s, a family could purchase a house for roughly twice their annual income. Over a few decades, people left, so did the tax dollars, and places like Atlantic City suffered. Between 1960 and 1980, the population fell from over 60,000 to just 40,000. Businesses closed, houses got abandoned, and the city became plagued with poverty, crime, and corruption. This is why the decline isn't new. In fact, it happened twice. The first time it came to everyone's attention was when the Democratic National Convention came to town in 1964. The place was divided, economically devastated, and this desperation set the stage for the great gamble that was to come. By the early 1970s, things were getting dire. Empty hotels sat like broken teeth along the boardwalk, unemployment was high, and poverty was entrenched. So local leaders came up with a bold plan. One big spin of the wheel to save the city. It was the legalization of casino gambling. Now, the first time New Jersey put it to a vote in 1974, the whole state said, yeah, no thanks. But 2 years later, promoters came back with a new pitch. Casinos would only be in Atlantic City, and the money would rebuild the city from the ground up. This time, voters bit. Although some were concerned about a possible return of the mobster days. But politicians promised to keep things clean. And Governor Brendan Byrne even had a famous line when he signed gambling into law. Keep your filthy hands off Atlantic City and keep the hell out of our state. On May 26, 1978, Resorts International opened its doors, and Atlantic City suddenly had a monopoly on legal gambling for the entire eastern United States. The results were instant. Thousands of union jobs appeared almost overnight. Bartenders, dealers, and waitresses. Many were making wages that could actually support a family. By the mid-80s, the Boardwalk glittered again. Big names rolled in. Caesars, Bally's. Donald Trump also went in on the action with 2 casinos, the Plaza and later the Taj Mahal. Tourists poured in from Philly, New York, and beyond. For a moment, it looked like the bet had paid off. But here's the thing. The casinos didn't fix Atlantic City. They fixed a part of it. Money flowed into the resorts, but just blocks away the neighborhoods stayed poor, schools remained underfunded, and the city was still divided. It became what locals called 2 Atlantic cities, one for visitors and one for everyone else. And when you put all your chips in one industry, things get ugly the moment that industry stumbles. And that stumble came in the 2000s. Neighboring states, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, all legalized their own casinos. Once again, going to Jersey Shore became unappealing as you could gamble your paycheck away closer to home. Atlantic City's gaming revenue peaked in 2006 at over $5 billion. After that, it fell like a busted straight. By 2014, things were so bad that 4 casinos closed in 1 year, including the $2.4 billion Revel, which barely lasted 2 years before folding. Thousands lost their jobs. The Boardwalk's neon still shone, yet fewer and fewer people saw its glow. Today, Atlantic City is still standing, albeit like a boxer after 2 knockdowns. Some of the casinos remain operational, still drawing crowds on summer weekends. Yet its soul is mostly gone. The price of building these giant, modernist hotels was steep. Many classical buildings that gave the place a certain Americana je ne sais quoi were razed. Instead of adapting and evolving, the city chose the path of destruction. And much like its first decline, there are still neighborhoods where poverty hovers over 40% and homes sit abandoned. Still, there are signs of hope. New grant programs are helping renovate old buildings. Officials are trying to lure small businesses back to the main avenues. There's even talk of a blue economy, using the city's coastal location for industries like offshore wind power and sustainable fishing. But the lesson of Atlantic City is clear. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Thanks for watching The Great Rewind. If you enjoyed this video, here's another one you might like.